I actually am still in Alaska.
Oh, you are?
So the kids are up there. I go up there. I get them about a month, and so I go up there and hang out with them. But they're getting to the age where they can visit me a little bit more on the road, so it's getting easier. But
how old are your kids now?
They're 10, 14, and 16.
Yeah, there is a thing which is interesting because I just had this conversation with my daughter earlier today, who's 19, who spent most of her life kind of going, Dad, come on, leave me alone, kind of dad stuff, and not interested in any, showbiz or any form of any of that. And so, like, recently, she's been like kind of saying stuff like, "Oh, I was." Do you know this comedian or that comedian? And I go, yeah. There's me and him are up on stage in New York. You know Shane Gillis? Yeah, we did a thing in New York. I think it was a podcast, and you can listen to it if you want. And all of a sudden, she's like writing me texts like, "Oh, hey, I was listening to you with Joe Rogan, blah 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 blah," and I was like, "Oh, she's kind of become an adult now.
Cool.
It's kind of waking up a little bit." Yeah. And then she said to me just a few hours ago, she goes, I was with my roommate, and she said something like, what's your dad do or something? Does your dad do any movies or something like that? And then my daughter said, yeah, my dad made a few movies. And then she said, well, why don't we watch one? And they're like, and so me and my friends, we all watched The Hammer last night. We loved it. And I was like, it's so nice. And, I told her, well, yeah, I got books, I got docs, I got season 1 of this show and season 1 of that show. Like, you got a lot of catching up to do if you want to see your pops. But it's nice. It's nice that you sort of woke up and you're kind of into it. And it's always surprising to me because my kids were always just like, yeah, come on.
It's very cool. I love that. Was the Hammer where you did the jump rope thing?
Yeah.
That is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. The jumper where you have your earbuds on and you can't hear the...
Yeah, it was a scene that I wrote that I kind of figured out that it took a lot of kind of editing, or you had to do it.
It was so funny.
I remember being in the edit bay like going, no, you can't just play music through it. You have to have my music when I'm through my POV, and then when she's there, you can't hear anything.
Right.
You just hear me mugging along with the music. Yeah. Remember, there's a lot of that kind of stuff when you make a movie where you kind of have to figure it out. It's
funny too with kids. Like, I felt the same with my son, where I didn't feel like he cared about much of the stuff I'm doing. And one of the big ones was, he goes, Theo Von? Mm-hmm. It's cool when you see your friends sort of like become famous and I go, not only do I know Theo Von? I'm like, Theo Von held you when you were a baby. He came over to my house and whatever. And so I messaged Theo and I go, dude, my son like loves you if you get a second. And Theo left like the coolest message about, and Theo's hilarious. So he was like, dude, back then, he's like, you were not contributing at all to the family. And he's like, but like that little thing got me so much cred.
Yeah, I think they have to go in through the back door. They have to find somebody, and they go, you know this guy?
Yeah.
And they go, I know that guy. I've been on a show. He's been on my show, whatever. Yeah. And they go, oh. And then all of a sudden you become de facto cool because you know Theo Von.
Yeah.
So, it was a weird coinky dink. But, yeah, your kids get older, and they can kind of appreciate things, and they wake up a little. And the good, I guess the good news is, I just told my daughter, I go, look, when I was doing this stuff, you were 4 or 2 or not born or whatever, but now you're an adult and it's all there. If you want to enjoy it, you couldn't do it when you were 9, but you can do it now if you like.
Do you think it's like, I feel like for some part of it, as the kids are little, you're just dad, right? You're doing all like the dad stuff, and maybe as they get older, then they can sort of appreciate your career as they get older. I like little kids, I kind of want them to get old. People go like, oh, it goes by so fast and they're only little for so long. I like it so much better when they're older.
Yeah. You can,
I feel like that's just as important of a relationship as the relationship you have when they're little.
You can talk about real subjects. Yeah. You can explore spirituality. You can have sex with their friends. I mean, it's all there, once they're older. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, not in that order, obviously, but they're adults now.
Well, that gives me hope. I can't wait.
Hope.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's right. It's months away for you.
I know, right? You had such a nice conversation with your daughter on speakerphone one day, and you were like, well, I was just calling to say hi, and I love you. And she goes, oh, Dad, thank you so much. And then you got off the phone, and I was like, I'll never have that conversation with my daughter. And you said, give it time. Because when they're in their 20s or like their late teens is when it all sort of writes itself.
Yes, it does. She became a very different person a little later in life.
Yeah.
All right, news.
Let's do it, huh? Kamala Harris on Biden in first excerpt from the new memoir, It Was Recklessness. Her new book says that Biden's team undermined her as vice president. In the new book that's coming out was 107 Days. She talks about the attacks Biden and his team had against not only her, but also against Donald Trump. She says that when it comes to the prospect of Biden running again, whenever she brought it up, the standard response in the White House was always, it's Joe and Jill's decision. It was kind of a mantra. It had us all hypnotized. Was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness.
Well, it's funny. I was watching the news and they had a clip and they go like, finally we get to hear what Kamala thinks and saw and heard, finally her voice. And I'm like, is it?
Yeah.
I have no reason to believe that someone else did just write this or she obviously ghost wrote it, but I believe like so little of what she says that even when she writes a book, I go, I don't know. Did she say that? I don't know. She work at McDonald's? I don't know.
Yeah, I would listen to the audiobook if she drank the whole time and got progressively drunker.
Yeah.
Towards the end.
I would listen to the shit out of that.
I like that. But you're right. All of it is so put through a processor. Everything she says is, who knows? Yeah. Do you know Biden's the only guy to have an autobiography that was ghostwritten?
Really?
I'm just kidding.
Somebody sent me the other day, a liberal friend of mine. It was basically a meme that just said Democratic Party expresses interest in a Harris AOC 2028 ticket. And I was like, that's never going to happen.
I thought you meant a fight at first.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Oh, yeah. Sponsored by Don King. That would be so amazing. But I was like, first off, there's no way, because I'm looking at the stuff that Gavin Newsom is doing, and that is the route that obviously they're going to start taking, is trying to go more down on what they think Trump's level is.
Yeah, he's doing Trump stuff. He's trying to troll. Also, they all have to tack back toward the middle, and it's kind of a weird thing where you go, well, what happened to all your crazy ideas that nobody liked? And it's like, well, I was 59 and a half. I was a young man, full of foolish dreams.
I didn't know what I was thinking back then.
I know what I was thinking back then. I was barely 41 years out of college, still sleeping on a futon. Yeah. What about all the shit you said when you're in your 40s and 50s? Like, nah, I'm moving. I'm going this way now. And I'm like, I don't know if I believe you, but why should I believe you if the other guy never was saying that shit? Then why don't we just go with him? Like, I've basically said, look, it's like you go, look, who's going to watch your young twins when you go out to dinner and a movie? And you go, well, there's Jamie over here, and then there's Rudy. Now, Rudy used to be a pedophile, but he says no more.
I'm very clean.
He says
absolutely.
he's clean.
Yeah. Ever since Chris Hansen.
Once
and
they
I
turn
hung out
18,
here.
it's legal
Jamie's
again.
never been a pedophile.
Right.
And then someone's going, well, why don't we go with Rudy? Because he says he's not a pedophile anymore. And I go, how about we just go with the guy who was never a pedophile? Like, he never... this person says they wanted to end fracking, and then you go, but we want fracking. Yeah, no, she says she changed her mind. Like, okay, she changed her mind about a bunch of shit that we don't want, but maybe she didn't.
Yeah.
But why don't we just go with the person that never said that?
So are you telling me I bought all this candy for nothing, Ace? Is that son of a bitch?
I'm
I just want to thank you for making me that half of the analogy.
I had a choice. That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg says that she is too poor to retire from The View because she did not marry well. Apparently, she has a net worth of $60 million with an annual salary of $80 million, but saying that
Wait, an annual salary of what?
I'm sorry, did I say 80? Sorry, an annual salary of $8 million. Sorry about that. Yeah, the 69-year-old comedian, which, by the way, should we call her a comedian?
No,
that is.
no.
I was thinking about it on the way in today because somebody
No.
brought her up to me. We do not hold in reverence any Whoopi Goldberg special. Even the times that she did, what was it with Billy Crystal? What was the thing that she always comic relief,
yeah.
whatever
Right.
it was?
Yeah, comic relief.
No one gives a shit about any of that stuff. All the comedies that she did in the 80s and early 90s were absolute trash. Nobody watches those movies. We can't call her a comedian.
Hold on. Have you seen Jumping Jack Flash?
Well, first off,
Or Burglar?
Yeah.
Okay. I always like when people say this, like you're talking to some plumber, some housewife, and you go, $80 million a year for the year. Oh, I should take that job. Okay, Bert. I don't know if that's going to work. You'd have to take your tool bags off and everything. You got to drive your van to New York and go get that job. I like when people do that. But first off, she is sort of the opposite of funny.
Yeah.
Like there are people that aren't comedians, but they're still kind of clever and they're still kind of interesting. They're kind of funny. Jesse Waters is not a comedian, but he's funny on his show and can be funny on the Five or whatever. She doesn't attempt to do comedy.
No.
Number one, I don't know when the last time she was funny. And you're right. I don't know if she was ever fucking funny. So it's a weird mantle to have.
Yeah, I don't like that haircut. She has a hair. I don't know if she still has it, but it looks like she was getting a haircut and then the power went out.
Yeah.
Have you seen that haircut? I don't
It's
like
still
that.
worse than the power surge
Yeah,
cut. That's the worst.
Can I ask you a question? So I think it's interesting when people make what is objectively like a ton of money and then they have financial problems. Do you have, Adam, as literally a millionaire, did you feel like you had a good grasp because you grew up the way you grew up of not like outliving your means? Do you still have like this mindset of like, I can't, because it sounds like this is some bad. She's making a lot of money to say she can't retire. Like, how does that happen? Is it like overspending or bad like, how does this happen? I can't wrap my head around it.
You basically, it depends. A lot of it has to do with your partner. I mean, if you got screwed in a divorce or you have a partner that just spends and doesn't think about it, whatever. I had that. So that doesn't help at all. There's partners that are successful lawyers and business savvy and do all that. That's a different direction. I think you end up, I think what happens to a lot of people is you end up sort of spending the amount that you make.
Right.
And that's where people get into trouble. You go, how do you spend $5 million a year? It's like, well, at some point you made $100,000 a year, and that's how much you spent. And at some point earlier than that, you made $19,000 a year, and like that's how much you spent. There's a way of spending as much as you make.
Right.
And then you get to Whoopi and you go, where's all the money? And she's like, I can't stop working. I spend as much as I make. But what was her husband situation?
Oh, she was talking about she didn't marry well and that she's still considers herself to be working class. One of the things she talks about she
considers herself working
she goes,
class.
I appreciate that people are having a hard time. Me too. I work for a living. If I had all the money in the world, I would still be here. Okay. So I'm a working person. My kid has to feed her family and my great granddaughter has to be fed by her family, which I don't understand what that has anything to do with this.
But we're circling back to the Posh Spice explaining. She's saying, first off, everyone on the left has to go, they're working class. They're working class. First off, she works on TV, so it's not like she's on the roof, number one. The only pain in the ass, literally the tough part about work, if you're doing work for TV, is the women and it's sort of hair, makeup, wardrobe. Like they're there 2 hours early. She shows up in a bathrobe. She literally works in a bathrobe and doesn't appear to have hair and makeup. So whatever the difficult part of work, and never seems informed. It's not like she's doing her homework or anything.
Yeah.
So
if I showed up to the cast of The View and I needed to find hair and makeup, I wouldn't ask Whoopi where it was. You know?
That's right. Where's craft service, Joe? Oh, you just handed me your bagel. Okay, thank you.
Where's the robe department?
Hey, speaking of Joy Behar,
I'd love to go to the robe department. Do you have something in a Klan?
Speaking of Joy Behar, did you see this video that just came out the other day?
She's wiping down the railing at the music hall.
Yep. While she was doing that, she was also talking about Trump and how he is to blame for, you guys were talking about this the other day, the murder of that poor woman in Charlotte on the bus.
He's to blame.
Yeah, he's the blame. Yeah, it's not the Democrats that let him out of jail 14 times. It's actually Trump who cut funding to mental health.
You know what, Whoopi? I have to say.
Let me just say,
finish.
and so if y'all could stop cutting funding
A good one.
for places.
But that's why it is political.
How about that?
That is exactly why it is a political situation, because in the first 40 days of the Trump administration, this one, they terminated 128 grants from the National Institute of Mental Health. In May, they cut $1 billion in federal grants for mental health services. And
$1 billion?
Yes. And then they talk about, mentally ill people are with the guns and mentally ill people are killing, blah, blah, blah. But then they cut the services. So it is political.
All right. So we spend $24 billion on homelessness and we have nothing. So it's a weird thing. Everything for them is about money. We spend more on education than almost every other nation, or maybe every other, and we have the worst results. So what do you mean money? Like where is the money? Look, family. These people don't have a family. They don't have a network. The guy probably never met his dad, and that's what they never talk about that. And they're always like, we need funding. Like, we need funding. First off, how much money can you spend? Like, here's the deal. We have the most expensive gas in the nation is in California, and we have the worst roads. You go through, I was in Alabama, the roads are beautiful. You go to Tennessee, the roads are beautiful. You pay half the gas, you get twice the road. So where is this connection? You know what I mean? Like LA, New York, we spend the most on students, we get the worst fucking results. Like, where is this money thing? It's like saying you're in horrible shape, you have to give your personal trainer more money. It's like, or you could stop eating so much shit and start getting some exercise. What about a personal trainer? If we got everyone a personal trainer is not going to fucking work if they don't do the diet and the exercise.
And you're right. It's almost posturing to go, we spent this much on mental health if the results aren't there. Like if you see a big fat dude and he goes, hey, well, I'm spending $100,000 a year on a trainer.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You're like a fat guy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not doing anything.
Yeah. Family. They're nuts. I mean, it's an issue. It's a thing. I brought it up 1,000 times. And they always argue, oh, you can find the Huffington Post clip again, Andrew, just because it makes me laugh. I've been saying my entire life, just basically family and education. Family, where's the family? Keep the family together. These people are suffering because their families are busted up. The black community is doing horribly because their families are busted up. Somebody needs to talk about this. It's always, no, that we need more resources. Resources for what? After school programs, free lunches where they eat slop. Tell me what, and by the way, how long have you been wanting more resources to do what? Throw more money at a problem that's getting worse, or we could do family and education. But all they do is fucking argue. And so when I was on like HuffPo like 15 years ago, I was like family and education, and the bitch who was interviewing me was like, whoa, wait a second, wait a minute. And I've said it a million times. Everyone's fat. Yeah, good. Diet and exercise. Yeah, but what about diet and exercise? Well, what about my personal metabolism? Diet and fucking exercise. That's it. Diet and exercise. Yeah, but other people process food in a different diet and exercise. I'm just telling you, diet and exercise. You can go to the fucking park and do chin-ups and do push-ups. Guys in prison are jacked. I've seen Con Air. Nick Cage on plumbing. There's a lot of plumbing going through. I bet there's much less actual plumbing going through. A lot of these, they're always doing the chin-ups.
Yeah.
They do the chin-ups on the plumbing.
Well, it's all the pecs now. They don't have any copper pipe going through there
Oh,
anymore.
they got the
right.
pecs. Yeah, it's too flexible.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
You're right. It's flexible. It's not going to work. You can't do chin-ups on pecs. I know my grandpa told me that when I was a young lad. Yep. And you can't pull wire through Romex, man.
Now you sound like Jamie's wife.
Well, PEX is the Romex of PEX is to plumbing what Romex is to electrical.
Oh, gotcha.
That's okay, but not conduit. Okay, the whole point is you can just do push-ups in your cell.
Sure.
And you can do chin-ups on your plumbing, and you can be jacked, or you can just keep saying, what if, what about, what if, what about. And this is me. It's actually, It's just audio because we couldn't find the vid, but it's just this chick 15 years ago. Hold on, go. So here's the whole point. I made the mistake of saying diet and education, diet and exercise, education, and family. Just education, family. You want to fix all this shit, stay intact, educate, family, and feed your own fucking kids and make them breakfast and make them lunch and get the fucking family involved. And it turned into a controversy, literally a controversy. Like the same controversy like when Bill Maher during COVID was like, hey, if everyone's fat is dying, maybe we should start talking about dieting. And they were like, oh, he's going to body shame people? It's like, no, the guy who's in shape is talking about people getting in shape so they don't die. Is that?
Yeah.
What kind of oh, he's an evil guy. Evil guy because you're 13 and you're morbidly obese and you have diabetes already? Like, who's the bad guy? Mm-hmm. So I'm always just like, family and education. And then the word got out to Huffington Post, and they had to settle my hash. And this is what it sounded like. Sorry.
And the whole idea was to get out of that.
That
was
through how?
Hard work, education.
Oh,
family.
That's true, but
yeah.
We'll play you the clip.
That's old-fashioned, Adam. What the hell's the matter with you?
All right. So anyway, there we go.
Here's the clip.
Family and education. I mean, I'm not Christian or anything.
They're not going to solve everything.
It would solve everything, yeah.
Just family and education? What about, the drug war that we have that's failing? What about the school-to-prison pipeline, things like this?
The school-to-prison pipeline, if you focused on education, I think would interrupt the school-to-prison pipeline.
Well, the problem is that
unless
schools
are
schools are maybe not focusing on education so much as
all
they
right,
are.
So anyway, what about all this other fucking external shit that doesn't amount to anything? Hey, bitch, family and education, diet and exercise, we're done. We're fucking done. It's always like money, more grants, more money. We need to study this. You don't need that. You just need to get back to fucking diet and exercise. We're falling apart because we're getting away from this thing. Why is everything money? I scream about it all the time. It doesn't take money to feed your kids. It takes a fucking mom and a dad with the will to feed their kids. To be healthy, it's easily done. Just fucking hard boil a bunch of eggs and cook up some rice and beans and whatever. It's not going out to eat, but it's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's weird when people go, like someone will come up on the road and be like, oh, man, you stay in shape. Like, what do you do? Because it's always diet and exercise. It's never like, oh, I have these special shoes.
Right.
You can eat whatever you want. You just wear these shoes. It's always the same. Everyone knows how to do it.
Yeah.
It's just not easy.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Okay.
Nobody wants it, but yeah. It is funny how you can hear it in her voice, too, how condescending it is. She has no absolute answers. That's it? That's all it is? That's all it is? We've been going through this shit in Minneapolis because there's the school shooting that happened at Annunciation. We were very directly affected to it. My girlfriend's son attends that school. Her children all went to that school. And everybody who is just, you're trying to come up with some sort of answer to something. Like, I had one idea, and I'm like, this isn't even a good idea. It's probably the worst idea ever, but it is an idea. And I said, listen, people who don't get to take maternity leave anymore. My daughter's 17. I'm never having kids ever again. How about once a year, we just get to have a week off of work and paid, and we just go stand in front of the school? Just to keep an eye on shit. It might not deter somebody with a gun to come in, but it's an idea. It's something that we can implement. And everyone goes, oh, that's all it takes? That's all it takes? And I'm like, no, dipshit, but it's an idea, and it's something that we can at least try. Just try it. What's the harm in that?
You brought up school shootings, and yesterday I looked up in one of my books, I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, I think is the name of the book, but I found this thing that was an op-ed that I printed in the book that was from the LA Times about school shootings and guns. And I read it. I hadn't read it in a long time since I wrote the book. And I realized how insane it sounded, this op-ed. And I forgot how nuts it was. But to your point, like I've said, like my whole life I go, like, how about let's just do this. And people are like, that's never going to, and I'm like, how about we do something? That I know your plan is you want some sort of gun buyback, ban, something, background check, something that's just, it's never going to happen. And if it does, it's not going to affect anything. And I'm saying, why don't we do something that might affect something? And you're arguing. It's like the whole time. And this was and Dawson will read it when he finds it, but this was arming teachers, right? And my thing with arming teachers, and whoever disagrees with you is always like, oh, so we should just take Glocks and put them in a piñata and have all the kids beat it until the guns fall out, and then whoever grabs the gun the first. I'm like, no. There's plenty of people associated with the school that were ex-cops or Marines or service people that have experience with firearms. And we'd find that person, and then what we'd do is we'd put them through a program, and then that person would have a weapon on them if they were the janitor or the history teacher, because the history teacher could be a decorated Marine of 14 years. Fine. Then he'll go through the search, then he'll have a fucking gun, and then if the shooting starts, he'll be able to fire back. Your plan is everyone hides under the desks until the person executes them. And they go like, well, we can't. So this was the LA Times, and you have to just listen how nuts this is. And I can't remember the woman who wrote this. She's probably still working there. This is her answer to this, but you have to really listen to it.
We listen to the bleatings of the gun enthusiasts that, well, if those teachers had guns, well, then this wouldn't have been as bad. Been as bad. Think about that. If a pistol-strapping chemistry teacher had grabbed her .45 and unloaded on today's gunman after he was killed, after he killed what? 1 student? 3? 5? That would be good news?
Well, yeah.
Of course it would be good news, you fucking imbeciles.
That's me talking now. Well, but there's that repeat it where she goes, wouldn't have been as bad.
Yeah.
Think about that. Well, there's airplane crashes where everyone on the airplane dies, and then there's airplane crashes where half the people on the airplane die, which aren't as bad as the ones where everyone dies. That's a pretty easy math. And yeah, in this particular shooting, I think 8 kids were killed. But if the teacher with the .45 returned fire and only 3 people were killed, then it'd be a lot better for the 5 kids and their family that they weren't amongst the victims. This is an op-ed making the point that you shouldn't have guns in there, and in doing so, they're making my point. Right. They're actually making the point for having the guns. Read it again. It's crazy.
We listen to the bleatings of gun enthusiasts that, well, if those teachers had guns, then this wouldn't have been as bad. Been as bad. Think about that.
I thought about it. I don't want it to be as bad.
If a pistol-strapping chemistry teacher had grabbed her .45 and unloaded on today's gunman after he killed what? 1 student?
Yeah.
3?
Better.
5? That would be good news?
It would be good news if the final number's 8.
Yeah.
Right.
In a sea of bad news, it would be good news if 1 died versus 8. I don't know who this fucking nut is. This is how they think, by the way. This is like, I'm going to write an op-ed for the LA Times, and I'm going to prove to you that this is my point, except for you're making everyone else's. You're making the NRA's point.
Yeah, he shouldn't have said think about it, because that's when I realized it was stupid.
Oh, it was 17 people. Oh, I don't know if it's 17, 14 students. I don't remember. I just had a vague recollection that, well, if 1, well, let's keep doing your math. What if nobody was killed? Would that be better? Yes, it would be better. It would be better. It would all be better than whatever that final number is.
There was a shooting at a Palestinian bus stop the other day. I don't know if you guys saw this, but
I don't know gay slang, but keep going. I got to look that move up. You ever had a Palestinian bus stop? Hey, you think what was on that railing was dirty? Wait till you get a Palestinian bus stop. There ain't enough wet naps, son, to ever clean up that mess.
I wanted to. It was just such an upcharge.
It's also something that your agent threatens you with. You don't go on this audition, you're going to be working at a Palestinian bus stop, okay? Jesus Christ, you never listen.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Palestinian bus stop.
Yeah, and I believe you'd have to look it up, but I do believe that after whatever it was, 3 or 4 people were killed and 17 were injured. That the gunmen were taken out by an off-duty police officer and somebody who was strapping, who was legal to carry a firearm in Palestine. Yeah. So obviously you're proving the point that.
Let's just put it to you this way: we all have kids. If your kid was in the 3rd grade and you heard that there was a school shooting at your kid's school, would you prefer that their teacher, their homeroom teacher, that happened during homeroom or something, if you knew that that person had a gun and was trained, would you feel better knowing no other information, or would you, like this op-ed bitch, be praying that that teacher had no gun in this situation? If the answer is I would feel better waiting for the news to come out, knowing that Mr. Johnson used to be a cop and had a 9mm in his desk, then yeah, I would. I'd be happy to hear that news.
Of course.
I went to school in northern Minnesota.
Oh, it was a Jerusalem bus stop.
A Jerusalem bus. I apologize.
That's all right.
But
I think that's more guys.
I got that move too. Yeah. 6 Israelis were killed by Palestinian gunmen at a Jerusalem bus stop. Right. But could have been 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
It's not as bad. Think about that.
Yeah. Think about
That's
it.
a little like a dance too, the Jerusalem bus stop.
It does.
A lot of snapping of fingers, get the symbols on the fingers, I apologize. This came in right before we walked in, so I haven't a chance to read it, but we figured something that you'd be pretty interested in. Ace, $100 million in LA wildlife aid is being doled out to fund pet clinics, DEI projects, and fungus planting. Not a dime has gone directly to victims.
Oh, wait, did you say wild? Oh, you said wildlife aids. Wildfire? Sorry.
Did I say wild? No. Oh, so LA wildfire aid is being doled out.
Wildfire.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So there's sorry. Like I said, I hadn't had a chance to read this yet. So they're talking about the $100 million that Lady Gaga and Billie Eilish helped for LA wildfires in January.
Right.
They're saying that struggling locals have never seen a dime of any of this.
Yeah. It's kind of a weird thing because California doesn't have any of the sort of hallmarks of corruption. Because it's an interesting, I guess we're going to end up talking about what we were talking about before, which is when I grew up, corrupt politicians had pinky rings and they smoked cigars and they called black people boy and son, and they had like, they looked like greedy, greasy. They wore like cowboy boots with their suits, and they smoked cigars and they smacked their secretary on the ass when they left and they laughed real hard. California's got a bunch of like women and progressives and folks that dress down and they're kind of frumpy. They don't have any of the earmarks of like slimy, corrupt politician, but yet we waste more money and give more money to the politician's, daughter who's running the nonprofit and whatever, and her salary's $700K a year and nothing ever fucking. It's a homeless. We first things first. They start a foundation. And they give it some name like Ahead Now or All Kids Ahead Now or some sort of Loves in Bloom or some sort of bullshit. And then they just take tons of money and waste it or spend it on themselves. But they don't have, we got this sort of laid back board shorts, flip flop. We don't have greasy on the take politicians, but I think we're more corrupt than any other state because we get less results. We get $14 billion into a train that we're going to scrap. We get $24 billion into homeless. We get more homeless. Like, we don't get anything. And there's all these NGOs and all these foundations. And whenever there's a big pot of money, and it turns out everyone, like when I was convinced, I thought, the only bad politicians are men and the Republicans. Those are the ones that are on the take. Those are the ones that are getting the kickbacks from the oil companies and stuff like that. Turns out women are just as fucking bad as dudes, like maybe worse, or they don't do as good a job of covering their tracks, and just as fucking greedy, and the Democrats are just as greedy, if not more so. And so California, $100 million, no one will ever see that. It just goes to all these foundations. And what are they worried about? They're worried about...
they're worried about DEI projects, pet clinics, and fungus planting.
So here's the thing about the DEI stuff. You want to start a foundation, and you want to make it about invisible shit where there's not a real problem.
Right.
Because if your foundation is dentists without borders, then someone's going to go, how many times have you been to Africa and how many fillings have you filled in? Went, well, I've never been to Africa and we've never actually done it. Then it's like, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
And if your thing is like, you have a foundation that repairs roofs, people are going to want to see how many roofs you've worked on and what the situation is. When you do a thing where you go, I do equity, I do fairness, our foundation is about children having a seat at the table, every voice being heard. Like, okay, there's no way.
You can't quantify it.
It's quantified. Like, what'd you do? I went down to LA Valley College and we had somebody speak to the students. Like, all right, what'd they speak about? Like, how did this work? What do you mean a seat at the table? Like, how does this work? So you give it some euphemistic title, you make it about some invisible bullshit that can never really be tracked, and you hear it all the time. It's like, oh, the government gave the military $2 billion for DEI or whatever. It's like, well, what came out the other end? I don't know. You can't measure it. You can't give someone $1 billion to build a stadium. At some point, we need a stadium. Someone's going to go, where's the fucking stadium?
Yeah. Well, luckily they didn't build any, new homes or playgrounds or schools, but a group who makes podcasts about the wildfires received $100,000.
Right. So that $100 million is never going to find its way. Also, they're not interested in giving those people money. Those aren't their friends. Those are victims.
Right.
So it'll never come out the other end. And it's weird how much of that there is in California. I mean, how much of the $24 billion for homeless was just grift? Like, where'd it go? It all went to foundations. Foundations that do what? Foundations that go away if you fix homelessness. So here we are. Yes, Doug.
Foundations that feed money back into Gavin Newsom.
Right. So it's one big shitty corrupt grift. And like I said, nothing comes out the other end. Where is the train? $24 billion. SoFi was built for $5.5 billion. 5.5. Shouldn't we be driving down the 110 freeway and see a giant homeless facility? Like some 10-story thing with subterranean parking and a hospital and a mental... Shouldn't we be passing that on the way to the airport instead of just looking at squalor and more people sleeping on the floor and on the parks? It's like, where is this thing? Where's the housing? Where's all these units you were going to build? Like, I don't get where the stuff is.
And there's no penalty for not having any results. Like, they don't give the money back. They don't have to show anything. It's crazy. Yeah, by the way, that $1 billion they're still out there, the homeless. I just saw some. It's not working.
Yeah. Nothing's working. I know. And there's a bunch of poor people in Altadena who never got a fucking penny.
Yeah, but those podcasters.
Yeah.
I saw a guy. I keep seeing guys yelling at themselves, which I know is clearly like a mental health issue. Obviously, guys, always yelling at them. And if I ever become homeless, I'm gonna make an invisible friend that's nice to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Someone that, I'm like, what'd you just say? Oh, this old thing? Thank you.
Yeah.
Why is it always got to be so aggressive?
Well,
complimentary.
Yeah.
This is a new haircut. Thank you.
Luckily, those podcasts were sponsored by BetterHelp, so you can get yourself some mental health. See, look at that.
Yeah. The sad part is everyone is greedy. Everyone just fucking wants money, and they want to do nothing to earn it. And as I was saying to Dr. Drew, everybody, it turns out that at everyone's core, AOC and Bernie Sanders are going out on the Stop the Oligarchy tour, but they're flying privately and first class and staying in $1,000 a night suites and stuff like that. And I'm like, the reason this experiment won't work is because that's everyone's default setting. Everybody's default setting is, I'm out there fighting for working class people. You want to fly private? Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, we'll do that. Well, you want to stay in the basement of the airport Hilton, or would you like to stay in the presidential suite? I'll do that. So it's got a tub. It's got a tub. It's got a jacuzzi tub. That's where all at.
Yeah.
We're all there. And it's weird. We do this thing all the time. Like, as a poor woman, as a black woman, I understand. It's like as soon as the money kicked in, it's like, but I'm doing every single thing I've been criticizing the whole time. And I realize, I think the only person I've ever met that doesn't have that quality, like I've said my mom, I learned most of these lessons from my mom because she was like sort of welfare and food stamps and a lot of like rich people don't pay taxes and these people don't have enough and, all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, she never did anything and just wanted free shit, but had a great rap about the indigenous people and all that kind of stuff, and would have hated a guy like Elon Musk or hated Elon Musk, but Elon Musk created 2 billion jobs and pays $2 trillion in taxes, and you've paid nothing, and you create nothing, and you create no jobs. But she'd still say he's the problem. Now, her true colors came out a million years ago during Mother's Day when I brought a bottle of Dom Perignon champagne, or literally a millionaire, by the way, over to my grandma's house, her mom's house, for Mother's Day, and I just brought it, and I set it down in the entry, like when it came into my grandma's house, and then at some point, sorry if you heard this one, but it's been a minute, my mom, but it shows her wiring, and it shows all progressives' wirings. She was always a champion of the poor people and the indigenous people and any ethnicity other than her own and all that. And at some point, she saw the bottle of Dom Perignon and she said, Adam has generously brought this bottle of Dom. May we sample your Dom Perignon, Adam? We could all have a little taste. And I go, oh, it's not mine. It's yours because that's your Mother's Day gift. And she went, oh. And she hid it under her sweater. Oh. Because when it was mine, she wanted everybody to have some, including her. Now the bottle is yours. See? I want to write a book called What Happens When You Become the Man. Because now she became the man. Right. She was the one with the Dom Perignon. And what did she do? The only people in that house were her mom, her husband, her son, and her daughter. That's the only people in the house. And she hid it.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want to share.
Of course not.
Right.
Wow.
Jim Carolla, my dad, he's not Bible. He's uncorruptible. He is the guy. Like, he could walk into the hotel and you'd go, Jim, we're going to give you the presidential suite. Yeah, well, we got this beach towel and you can just sort of lay it out in the buffet. It opens about 6, so they'll wake you up. And he'd go, okay, could I have some tap water? And he'd just go sit there on the tile and sleep. Like, he's the only guy I've never met who doesn't want a steak and a martini, couldn't be bought, doesn't care, doesn't know. Doesn't want a Cadillac or Rolls Royce, doesn't want anything.
Would he have
need
said
anything.
no thanks to the Dom? Would he have said, I'm good?
Yeah, my dad would come over for Thanksgiving and you go, hey, you want a glass of wine or a cocktail or something? You go, no, I'm good. And you go, some tea or Diet Coke or something? Fine. You go, some bubbly water, some sparkling water. That's just tap water's fine. You just sit there at Thanksgiving, like drinking tap water. And then, he'd have my stepmom drive home because he'd have 3-4 glasses of tap water and have to, No, my dad couldn't be bought. Wow. I don't think my dad, he is the only person I ever met who doesn't want that shit. Everyone else, no one else wants to pay for it, but if you're paying for it, they're in. They want it. AOC talks a good story, but she wants to go to the Met Ball with a $50,000 dress on, right?
Oh, I can't wait to get to that level. Oh, I can't wait for people to start bribing me. I will take any and all bribes. I will go to every Met Ball. I will fly privately. I will go to every presidential suite. I don't give a shit. I'm tired of La Quintas. I'm tired of living in. I hate it. I can't wait for that day.
I'm jealous too. I bought my mom a bottle of Dom Herrera this Mother's Day.
The funniest champagne ever. By the way, who says that day's coming? I mean, I'm not here to burst your bubble, but it's not. It may have come if it was.
You're right.
Meant to.
You're right.
All right,
listen. There's always got to be something. It's hope. Remember, we had the conversation. It's always hope.
It is hope.
Yeah, it's hope and no change.
Let's give you a plow because that day's coming fast for Rudy Pavich, who is very funny. El Paso tonight, comic strip through Sunday, and then Snarky Loon Brewing.
Yeah, I got a little.
It's in Minnesota.
Yeah, brewery tour happening in Jenkins, Minnesota on October 3rd, October 4th. You can catch me at Beaver Island Brewing in St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Jamie's got Irvine Improv coming up 12th through the 14th. Great club.
Butt naked with boners standing next to other dudes, but I got my black socks on so I don't slip on your map of Hawaii.
Subscribe to Beat It Out on Substack at adamcarolla.com/Substack. Now back to the Adam Carolla Show.
By the way, I should mention my poor old pops who passed away a couple months ago was from South Philly. And while he never expressed any interest in almost anything, he did sort of root for Philly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did. He was kind of an Eagles guy.
He's smiling on as they trounced the Chiefs.
I do recall seeing Philly. I think Dallas spanked them in like Super Bowl 15 or something like that. And I remember going to my uncle Vince's cousin Vince's Bruno's, I was going to say house, but apartment, my dad didn't know a lot of homeowners, This 1 or 2 bedroom in Santa Monica. And it was a weird thing. Like, we're going to watch the Super Bowl with Vince Bruno because Vince had like a 19-inch color TV, which would have been a big ticket item for my dad, and probably offered up a bowl of chips or something. And he just sat there. It's not like the beer was flowing or cocktails or there wasn't a fruit platter or anything. We just sat there and drank tap water and ate chips. But it was still it was like my dad's version of a Super Bowl party, but no one was invited and there wasn't anything to eat or anything. While the Battle of the Sexes was highly publicized, a significant event, there were no differences in the court lines for the match between Billie Jean and Bobby Riggs. The match was played under standard rules. Okay. It was the Raiders that beat the Eagles in Super Bowl 15. Yeah, thanks. I just remember it was a big deal that the Eagles got to the Super Bowl and they just kind of got spanked. And, we just sat there with a bowl of chips and tap water.
Oh, man.
Jesus Christ.
I can just see one light bulb hanging above you guys. Just a sad
My dad has never been to a Super Bowl party. It's crazy. It's all crazy. All right. Anyway, he'd be happy that his Eagles won. That's all I'm saying. What do you got with the news?
Well, speaking of the Super Bowl, Taylor Swift booed at the Super Bowl as Donald Trump receives thunderous cheers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in a moment that perfectly captured the cultural divide in America, pop icon Taylor Swift faced boos from a portion of the Super Bowl crowd, while former President Donald Trump received overwhelming cheers. The stark contrast played out in one of the nation's biggest stages, further highlighting the deep polarization between entertainment elites and everyday Americans.
Yeah, I watched her biopic. I shouldn't say her documentary, and she's kind of a dope. Politically, she's a dope. She's one of these people that buys into everything. But also, it's hard to tell what she really thinks because everything is sort of a popularity contest. Like if Taylor Swift was like, listen, I don't like homos and I don't think 2 dudes should get married, she would lose 3/4 of her fans immediately. So she's got to be careful about what she says. All right, we got Trump. We got a clip. I think we got a clip. That's Trump. They're cheering for Trump. And then we got Taylor Swift. They're booing for Taylor Swift.
The side eye.
That was a bad outing.
Yeah.
And then I was saying to everyone at the party, what's Kelsey leaving in? Because he showed up like the Bishop Don Magic Wand in full pimp regalia. But don't you have to have a loser outfit?
Yeah, black suit, understated, what I mean? Maybe a hoodie.
Yeah, something to escape in.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a gold brooch.
Yeah.
He's got LeMay, he's full.
Why?
He's going full pimp.
He's old Travolta and
right. Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
Right. Did he leave in that outfit? Because I just believe if I'm him after that drubbing, and he didn't have a great day, and Mahomes, no one had a good day. I would just send some PA up to the stadium loge and buy me some Eagles swag.
Sweatpants.
Just give me some green sweatpants and an Eagles T-shirt, and I'll just wear that shit out.
Yeah, I got to
You
slink out of there.
can't swag your way back out, can you?
Definitely not. The after party's pretty bummed out. Oh, this is after you left. Oh, he did rock it.
All right. First off, Tom Brady is over the goddamn moon. Tom Brady's over the moon because Tom Brady had two things to deal with. One, they were doing the Mahomes is better than Brady thing, and if he had won 3 Super Bowls in a row, then maybe he could have made some claim to it.
Right.
And this would have been his third, and Brady's never won 3 in a row. So there would be some argument for Mahomes. But this put an end to that. And Brady's other legacy was always him and Bill Belichick. Is it him? Is it Bill Belichick? It's got to be Bill Belichick. He's the guy. He just plugs new players in every position and keeps on winning. So Brady's just another cog in the Belichick machine. And then Brady left, goes to Tampa, wins a Super Bowl, and Belichick starts losing almost immediately and is now out was out as the head coach of the Patriots. So Brady had 2 possible threats to his GOAT legacy. One is Belichick, boom, nipped in the bud. Next was Mahomes, 3 in a row, boom, gone. So he's safe. And there's no way Mahomes is going to ever get 3 in a row. He could win next year, but it's going to be real slim that he goes another 3 in a row.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right, yeah.
So that's that. So good
Brady's
for
calmed down.
Good for Brady.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
that's why he was yelling at Snoop Dogg about hate. He was hating on Mahomes. He was hating on Belichick.
The way you look.
Yeah, because you look different than me, man.
Yeah, it should say that Swift's representatives not commented on the incident. It's funny. I saw this story the other direction. I saw people saying that Trump got booed at the Super Bowl, but I didn't see that. I didn't.
No,
yeah.
She got booed. He didn't. But that's his crew.
Kendrick Lamar performed a Drake diss track, Not Like Us, at Super Bowl 2025 halftime show with one big change. He didn't call the big word pedophile. He didn't say that. He must have. I'm
too old for rap. I don't appreciate it. I don't get it. I don't see the artistry in it. But also, when guys do parody songs, they rap. Like when Saturday Night Live does something about rap, the guy raps and he sounds as good as whoever he's parodying, and that's why I don't get it.
But when you get deep into it, this guy's lyrics are very off kilter compared to normal. Andy Samberg is excellent at making a little jaunty rap, but this guy's twisting syllables in weird, strange directions. If you look at the poetry on the line, I have an appreciation for it because I kind of grew up with rap. And it was one of those things where that was part of my childhood, and I got into it. And now, you can see rap and then Kendrick Lamar above that, where he's winning Pulitzer Prize for his poetry. Yeah. So,
but Ben Shapiro had a #1 rap song out for a while too. So how important is it? But okay. But also, I do want to see people playing instruments at some point,
I agree with
at
that,
the concert part. The backtrack to me doesn't. I just don't want to. I want to see. Well, switch it back and forth every once in a while. Let's get a rock band in there, and then go back and forth.
Well, one of the only rap groups that did that was very popular. The Roots ended up getting a Jimmy Fallon job. They're just the house band. Kind of did. But Kendrick Lamar, the whole thing was he did this track that just took over the radio, took over the whole.
But what is with the Drake pedophile thing?
Well, Drake is kind of infamous for having young girls around the show all the time, and Kendrick kind of exploited that fact. And basically, that song that you heard, Not Like Us, They Not Like Us, that song took over this past year, was just all over the radio. Everyone sang it. In fact, Drake is suing his own label which is also Kendrick Lamar's label. he's suing because they did all the tricks they used to do for Drake, which is buy radio play, buy Spotify suggestions. They did all of that for this song, They Not Like Us, which accuses Drake of being a pedophile.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm reading here that he was texting Millie Bobby Brown.
Yes. Kind of creepy text. Like anybody, and he would always have like young girls up on stage and sing to them and grind on them. Like Kendrick Lamar called him out for what's pretty obvious that he's, dancing that weird line of that performers get caught in. It's like really crazy. And the fact that the entire nation, it just took over and everybody was singing it all year has got to sting for Drake.
What did they do with the Super Bowl? I think I was taking a piss or something when that line, because everyone's like, is he going to say it or is he going to do it? But then the crowd said it.
Well, he just omitted, like a lot of the lyrics, he drops a lot of N-bombs in there and he drops a lot of, and he says the word pedophile. Like that's the punchline of this song. The punchline of the song, was just taken out. He just let the crowd say it. And then the real punchline is you're trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. And everybody sings A minor. And he sang that. So everybody got the payoff that they wanted. And yeah, he really smashed Drake into smithereens.
All right. Well, I think we have a clip of that. Let's see.
Bully the fro, say Drake. I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. To any that talk to 'em and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from them. They tell me Chubb's the only one to get your hand-me-downs. Party at the party playing with his nose now. Baka got a weird case, why is he around? Certified lover boy, certified
pedophile.
I'm on the I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor.
They not like us. Yeah. So yeah, and then right there, that's Serena Williams, who is crip walking on the Super Bowl. Drake's ex-girlfriend. Also in Drake's ex-girlfriend, SZA. So they were really just spanked them there. Just finished them.
Yeah.
And because Drake had taken over the radio for 10 years plus. Like he was just this guy and then kind of tried to get gangster for a while. And everybody backlashed on him. And this is the result. Kendrick Lamar came and put him in the grave.
Is Drake good?
Drake is this guy who's like a rapper, but like a pop culture. You know what I mean? He's like this pop star. He's been this guy that's taken over the radio for a good long time where he's ubiquitous. Like a Drake song always comes on. It's like just I don't know. They took over the space like Debbie Gibson would have inhabited in the 80s.
Oh, so he's good. Like Debbie Gibson. Yeah. I think we're alone now. Is that Debbie Gibson?
Yes.
Does Drake do the sing through the Roomba robot thing?
Sometimes, yeah, but not as much.
I never liked that.
I know. I know I'm speaking a foreign language to you. Anytime I talk about this kind of thing,
listen. Here's what I don't. Here's my thing. I don't like any sampling of any form. You may create all the music you want, but there is no sampling in art. But I would not like comedians who sample other comedians' jokes get thrown out of the business.
I see. Yeah.
So artists who sample other people's art, it's art. I don't like when people rip off other people's stuff. And so you playing Kashmir in the middle of your song is just you playing Led Zeppelin in the middle of your song or whatever it is that we like. It's a riff from the 70s. Like when I think P. Diddy should be incarcerated for that Puff Daddy every step you take, bullshit rip-off police song. Hey, we miss you, brother. That's retarded. That's somebody else's song. That's not your song.
I know. But there's an art, they have like signed off on that.
Oh, I think we're alone now. It's by Tiffany.
Oh, whoops. I know Debbie Gibson too.
Yeah, I don't know. Debbie Gibson. Debbie Gibson had her own hit. I'll think of it. All right. Anyway, I don't appreciate it, but if you create it from whole cloth, I'm with you. But if you're taking other riffs, I'm not with you because that's music that already got created.
And it's strange that you say that because I listen to Kendrick Lamar's last album. There's no overt samples, but you can tell that he is throwing back to kind of Snoop Dogg's old stuff. He's throwing back to old West Coast kind of rhythms, so you hear that influence inside the music. It's not overtly sampling.
Yeah, but influence is fine. If Nate Bargatze says I was influenced by Jerry Seinfeld and that's why I do the clean stuff or what have you, I go fine, good. Running backs are influenced, by other running backs who came before them and MMA fighters and every comedians and everything. So that's all artists, that's fine. It's just when you rip off the riff.
See, but
I don't like that.
But now there's the music industry is like, ripping off the riff, you pay the guy to rip it off. You go, hey, Carolla, I want to lease some of these jokes. Can I?
Yeah, it's also the audience for comedy would be like, we already heard that joke.
I know. They'll
that
be mad.
joke from George Carlin did that joke in 1974. Like, we don't want to hear that joke. Come up with your own joke.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. What else?
No stress. Moving on to some politics. John Fetterman calls out toxic Democratic Party for shaming and scolding. Yeah. In a surprising admission, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman openly criticized his own party, describing Democratic brand as toxic due to his habit of shaming and scolding voters. I think we have some video here.
It's weird that he got so sane after a stroke.
And after you survived an assassination, you literally were shot in your head and had the presence of mind to respond, fight, fight, fight. I mean, that's a political talent. It's undeniable. And also, I never believed that it was about fascism. And for me, that made it difficult for
Kamala Harris said that he was a fascist.
Yeah, well, it's like that's her prerogative. I mean, but it's not a word that I would use because you put a lot of Democrats, especially in my state, that I know and I happen to love people that are going to vote for Trump, and they are not fascist. And also fascism. That's not a word that regular people, use. That, I think people are going to decide who is the candidate that's going to protect and project, my version of the American way of life, and that's what happened.
Was that the clip? I guess so. Or maybe there's another clip.
Yeah, it's a different clip. But
that was a different clip, but that was still a decent clip.
Yeah, it sounds pretty reasonable, even though he's dressed in some Carhartt.
He's going to get fatter. Because when they put the sweat jacket on, you get fatter. You got to you have to put slacks on. I'll tell you what keeps you from being fat. You put slacks on that have the inner button, the outer button, and the hook. Yeah. The three.
Yeah, I know that one.
And that's when you try to get the inner one. That's when you're sucking it in and pinching and exhaling and that moment when you're trying to get that inner button done, you think, I'm not fucking eating a donut ever. God damn it. No more donut. Downs. Put the fork down. Put the donut down. Not going to do it. When you're pinching. When you put the sweatpants on, you never think that way. Nope.
He always relaxed.
He's wearing basketball trunks and a hoodie. So he's never going to stop being fat.
Shoes.
Got to wear
not
tight
even performance athletic shoes. He's like ready to kind of go hang out somewhere.
Yeah.
It's my video game outfit.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see if we have that clip somewhere at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, no. We got the right clip of Fetterman.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Fetterman's playing it smart. Oh, this is the clip.
Why is the Democratic Party viewed as toxic by so many? Like, even people inside the party acknowledge that.
I think their primary currency was shaming and scolding and talking down to people and telling them, hey, I know better than you, or you're dopes, or you're a bro, or you're ignorant, or, don't you, how can you be this dumb? I can't imagine it. And then, by the way, they're fascists. How can you vote for that? And, when you're in a state like Pennsylvania, I know and I love people that voted for Trump, and they're not fascist.
Yeah. Well, you are. Listen, when you use hyperbole all the time, you run a risk of not being listened to. And you can't just keep saying, well, first off, no one believes you believe what you're saying. So, as I've said, if you have Biden, and Biden is saying that Trump's a fascist and we're going to lose our democracy, you don't leave him a love letter in the desk at the Oval Office. You leave a bomb in the Oval Office, because that's what you did with Hitler. Yeah. That's what you would do. If you actually believed who this guy was and who he was, who you said he was, then you wouldn't sit next to him at Jimmy Carter's funeral or laugh it up with him and Barack Obama or whatever. So you guys obviously don't believe this stuff. I mean, Barack Obama, instead of kibitzing with him at Jimmy Carter's funeral, should have brought a steak knife and tried to stab him in the heart. If you are dealing with a fascist who's going to end our democracy, then you try to assassinate him. You don't hang around and laugh it up with him. So obviously you people don't believe it. But Trump believed what he was saying about the border or about wars, in foreign soils and things like that. And you can agree with him or disagree with him, but that's what he believes, and that's what he does.
So what do you think Democrats do now? Like, what do they, how do they reform? Who comes out of this? Gavin Newsom bring the thunder and try to run for president? I don't understand how they're going to recover.
So I think the Democrats have a fundamental problem, which is their attempt at salvation, at salvaging what their thing is to be more sort of like a Republican, So their thing when they run, Kamala Harris talked about everything all the time, but then soon as she's running for president, she's like, oh man, I'm going to stiffen up that border, and I'm not for transgender sex changes, and I want to pay for it all. She was going to put an end to fracking. She was going to put an end to drilling. Then as soon as she runs for president, she's all for fracking. She's all for drilling. She's all for a tough border. She doesn't want prisoners being transgenderized on the company dime inside the penitentiary. All the things she said she was for or against, she completely abandoned. So what is it? Okay, so Democrats run on sort of pie in the sky Nike commercial, NFL commercial. Yeah, okay, women are better and women are better at football than guys. Yeah, we get it. Yeah, we get it, Nike. You're better. NFL, they're better. Or Nike, women can't compete or keep score, express themselves. Like, all right, liars. Okay, no one believes you. Okay. Nobody. And you don't believe you. Yeah. And we know you don't believe you. So what do we do? Well, now it's important. So now we have to put people on the field because we're playing in the Super Bowl and we want to win. So ladies off the field, dudes come on in. Yeah. What about one lady no ladies on the field. We're trying to win. Oh, okay. So no ladies on the field. All right. Well, maybe they're not better at football. I don't know. Just call me crazy. Okay. So what they do when they want to win an election is they have to, now all the pie in the sky trans shit is out the window. We have to, what do people want? They want cheaper groceries. They want cheaper gas. They want a border that's not porous. Okay, they don't want illegal. Okay, they don't want homeless. Okay, they don't want guys that have been arrested 28 times roaming the subway and pushing grandma onto the tracks. They don't want any of that. All right, Democrats, so act sane for 10 minutes. But your version of sanity is just a sort of version of Republican policy. So now all you're doing is sounding like Republican light. So Kamala Harris went from crazy California Democrat with all the sound bites to basically Sunny D. So Trump was fresh squeezed OJ. Yeah. Fresh OJ. And then she went from grape soda to like Sunny D, right? Like, no, look at me. I'm orange. No, I got citrus base. No, look at me. Yeah, I'm not. not fresh orange juice, but look at me. I could be if you squint, you might think I was orange juice because somebody told her orange juice is popular and your fucking grape soda shit's not going to fly. Now, maybe in crazy People's Republic of California and all your fucking nut job constituency, maybe those idiots will do it. Not after the fire. Pre-fire, you can get those idiots to vote with you on any of your fakakta plans, but now after the fire, not so much. But you want to sell this shit in Pennsylvania, you want to sell this shit in oil country, you're going to tell people from Pennsylvania that can't frack, go Sunny D. So that's where she becomes Sunny D, is she's like, I haven't abandoned any of my core values, but I'm going against everything I said 10 minutes ago. But keep in mind, I was in my mid-50s, so I was a kid, fresh out of high school, with thoughts and dreams, So they're going to have to go his route, which is kind of Sunny D, but how are you going to out OJ orange juice by doing Sunny D? So what they'll do is they'll kind of go, it's true, he's not orange juice, he is Sunny D, but with a heart. He cares a little bit more about the people. And so maybe they'll sell some version, but they're going to have to move up. Because when these policies start working, especially people like a border that's closed and they like cheap gas and less skirmishes around the world and stuff, they're not going to be able to run on trans rights and all the sort of climate hoax change bullshit. They're not going to be able to run on any of that anymore. So they're going to have to come up. They're going to have to be Sunny D.
Yeah, well-stated analogy. I like that, Sunny D. All right, next up, supporters raised nearly $300,000 for Luigi Mangioni's legal defense. In a remarkable show of support backers to Luigi Mangione, the man accused fatally shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson nearly $300,000 for his legal defense.
Let me tell you how my addled brain works. I'm like, I heard you say this in the next room, and I was like, good, fuck Blake Lively. Take that bitch down, man. And I was like, good for him. Because I thought it was the other Italian, the other paisan.
Baldoni. Yeah.
Because I'm old and there's too many names flying around too fast, No. Now fuck this guy. Jesus Christ.
Oh, not a big fan of Luigi, huh?
No, I'm not. I'm not a fan of people that execute people.
I know, but you get why he's this hero? You don't get it, huh?
I get it. Listen, these are dumb and partly scary people because these guys will worship at the altar of anyone almost immediately, and I'll think of the guy's name I'm trying to think of. But yeah, I get what they're saying. I get what they're about. I get what they're doing, but a guy was gunned down in cold blood. You can't support
it's
that.
It's a little bit the American way. We have guns here, and then so when things don't work out, it's kind of American to rebel and leave. I'm seeing what's happening with this guy is that everyone, if you don't have a lot of money, you're chained to this insurance company and they have everything over your entire life and can ruin your life at the stroke of a pen. This United Healthcare CEO was overseeing an AI the company using AI to deny people claim all the time. And I don't know how this guy decided to be some weird hero for this martyr for this revolution, but he definitely has been getting a lot of heat on social media in a positive way. And this $300,000, people are voting with their checkbook to this GoFundMe.
I bet you these same assholes loved Michael Avenatti 10 minutes ago.
Who's that? Oh, the lawyer?
They
Stormy Daniels lawyer?
Oh, they love this guy.
No, what I'm saying is it's transcending party.
Yeah, listen. Whoever runs whatever companies, they're going to make total maximum profit all the time without thinking about the human cost of it always.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. So we're going to have to restructure the system. Otherwise, this is just going to happen.
Well, but that's fine.
We're mad at insurance companies for not insuring in California, but are they what are they doing? Well, they've decided the risk outweighs the reward, so they packed up and they left. So now you can be angry at Allstate, or you can try to shape the system to get Allstate to do the right thing and incentivize them, is what I'm saying.
What it kind of seems like is that the majority of American people are unhappy with that health insurance industry, but they've tried to change it, but it doesn't change.
Yeah, but
so eventually there's going to be some wacko with a 3D printed gun.
But the companies are going to maximize their profits no matter what.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter when you're selling Disney, DVDs. It matters when you're life or death.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter to you, it matters less, but the company's still the company. The company's still going to maximize whatever they can maximize. And I would argue, I don't like to argue for regulation and big government or whatever it is, but if car companies could sell a version of their car without an airbag and it'd save you $1,000 and you wanted to do it, you'd sign a release and you just buy a car without an airbag. But the government says, yeah, you got to have an airbag. And so now they all have airbags and they cost more, but they're safer. And they are going to work within the system to maximize their profits, even if it kills Granny, or it doesn't matter to them, which you'd like it to matter to them, but it doesn't matter to them. So if you're going to have to revise a system that incentivizes them to do what's right. And I don't know.
Single pair.
I don't really. I'm sort of in between a bunch of stuff. I don't want the government to handle everything because it gets bad. You know what I mean? You don't get what you want. I like insurance, but I have good insurance, so I'm not complaining about it. Other people don't, and they have a riff and a beef. I also don't agree with Bernie Sanders. I don't think you have the right to it. You don't really have the right to anything that costs money. You have to kind of contribute. Taxes or whatever, pay in, and then you can get it. And I don't know. I would honestly, I've heard Dr. Drew talk about it a lot. Mm-hmm. I would, in my world, I would get a panel of Dr. Drews and other people at boots on the ground, kind of dealt with insurance companies, what have you. And I would get some insurance company executives or whatever, people that had 30 years in the business or whatever it is. And I would put them all, and I'd create a panel, and I'd go, and I'd get people from like Medicare and Medicaid and what have you, and I'd say, let's try to figure this one out. Like what's going to be the most effective way to move forward here?
They've already done that, I think, and what it seems like is that those middlemen fight for their job.
Well, yeah, everyone in lobbies, everyone fights for their job. That becomes a business. I mean, it's also insane that the last time I think I went to the emergency room or something, that the person came in with the cart, and I said, "What's that for?" "Oh, we do a heart checking your heart." And I said, "Oh, I don't think I need that." And they go, "You said your heart was something." And I said, "No, I never said anything about my heart." And they're like, "Okay, we'll check it real quick." And I was like, "Oh, you're just going to push the card in, tack that on to
the do with
pad."
That insurance.
I know.
You got the good insurance. They're going to order every test and milk that insurance. It's kind of the middleman
it's all right. Look, there's a lot of money, and when there's a lot of money, there's a lot of people getting paid that don't get paid, and then there's a bunch of people that get nothing because those guys are getting paid. So I'm all for reform, and I'm all for the system. I'm just saying, I don't want
people.
You can't shoot people, and I don't want a bunch of bureaucrats coming up with it. I want to hear from Dr. Drew, and I want you to tell me, as there's the guys who make the windows in the factory, and then there's the installers. I want to hear from the installer what you're up against, what you're running into, what you would do differently, in the manufacturing process, because you're installing this shit.
And wait,
you're going to have ideas.
Drew says that this is the way it is. Insurance is insurance.
Insurance is. First off, you don't get paid to be a doctor anymore. Like, you barely make any money as a physician. anymore. Maybe you make money as an insurance executive or an executive at a hospital or something. But Drew's like, for what he does, you don't really get paid. The insurance. Okay, there's a whole bunch of things. You shouldn't have to go see Dr. Drew all the time. You should be able to talk to a nurse or someone who's certified with 2 years training, in something. That you don't have to go to the specialist first thing I would do is just take all the stuff that doesn't need a guy who
Here's a preview for you guys. He's going to be looks like focusing on his successes in immigration. There's record low crossings here in February. It's fell to 8,300, down 94% to 140,000 last year.
Yeah, well, listen, if this is okay, this is my sad opinion, but it happens to be true. If somebody gives a shit about something, they can fix stuff. Like, if you got me, if I just became mayor of Los Angeles, I would go, what the fuck's going on with the traffic? Why aren't people turning right on a red? What's up with these fucking red turn arrows? Why are they staying red? How come no one uses their signal? How come nobody... And shit would get better because that's what I care about. Now, I may not do a lot for the trans community because I don't give a fuck about the trans community, but I do care about traffic. And the other thing I hate is garbage everywhere. And I would just be going, this whole fucking place it's so much garbage. What are we doing here? Get Bette Midler to adopt this, lane in the 101 and let's get this shit picked up. Whose area is this? Like, I would go find out Sun Valley. Sunland, Pacoima. Who stretch a fucking the freeways this? What's your name? Okay, you're the mayor? Clean your shit up. Clean your fucking shit up and do it now. And then things will get better. Trump cared about the border. Yeah. Biden didn't care about anything, especially the border, and neither did Kamala Harris, and neither did any of the Democrats. So they don't care, so nothing happened. And by the way, they lied the whole time. Like, well, Congress needs to pass a bill, or you could just do it as the president,
well, before
which is
you
what
go
Trump
down that
did.
road, let me get some more of his successes.
All right.
The ICE arrest surge, they increased 600% compared to Biden, with over 20,000 illegal immigrants arrested by ICE in a single month. Remain in Mexico is reinstated. That policy, we know what it is. They stay there until they can get things sorted out. Cartel leaders were extradited. President of the United States secured extradition of 29 Mexican drug cartel bosses to face charges for their crimes in the United States, including one accused of killing a DEA agent. The Laken Riley Act was signed, ensuring that ICE will detain illegal immigrants arrested or charged with theft or violence, and honoring the legacy of Laken Riley, who was killed by an illegal who had previously been arrested but never detained by ICE. The migrant shelters closed. Tariffs have been implemented, 25%.
I don't know about this tariff thing because I hear back and forth about it.
Yeah, it's a very fluid situation. We don't know whether there will be, at the time of this airing, we don't know if that will be actually implemented yet.
I think it is.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not an expert at tariffs. I hear this group say it's a bad idea. I hear this group say it's a good idea. At a certain point, I think what you have to do, regardless of who's your person, is you just go, look, I trust this person. I think they know what they're doing. The last guy was brain dead and corrupt. So that's a kind of a 1-2 punch of negativity. Yeah. So when he could think lucidly, then he got his son paid. When the rest of the time he's just fucking up the country, and then his junkie son and his crazy wife were running the show. So it's all better than that. This is basically what my take. I'm now realizing I don't think Biden was doing anything that had to do with governing. So everything's going to be better than him. Now, as far as who's ever taken his place, you have to go, look, the last head coach we had on this football team went 2-14 for the last 4 seasons, right? Then we got a new guy. And the new guy is doing stuff, some of it you agree with, and some of it you don't understand. But at a certain point, you go, it's his team. He won a lot of games at his last job. You're going to have to just step back and trust him. He wants to go for an onside kick in the first quarter, or he wants to go for a fake punt, even though they're up 13. You know what? Sounds unconventional, but the guy's a winning coach, and you just got to step. And you hired him. You're just gonna have to step back.
He's putting the water boy in as the quarterback, and everybody's yelling about it. But this is like one of those amazing, heartwarming stories where like suddenly then the water boy becomes the popular quarterback, and the guy won, and it's like, we doubted you, but you won. Tariffs economically can be analyzed day in and day out through every single textbook as being something good, something bad. Everyone's got an opinion. If you look at it through an economic prism, it's not. This is not about the economy. As ironic as that sounds, tariffs are not about the economy. It's about leverage.
Yeah.
Negotiation is about leverage.
Well, that's the other thing, too, is you go back to the coach analogy. You go, it's 4th and 7, and then they're on the wrong side of the 50, and he's going for it? What's he crazy going for it? And you're like, no, he's trying to draw him off sides.
Yeah.
And you go, what's he doing going for it? It's like, no, he's not going for it. He's trying to draw him off. So there's a strategy within the strategy. And it's also strategy that the coach isn't going to talk about, because the coach isn't going to go, I'm not really going for it on 4th. I'm just sending the team out there. No, he doesn't want that information out. Trump said it all the time when he would say, someone would say, like Biden would go, we don't want, we want peace with, and we want to start a whatever, and we want to help this group and sanction that group. And Trump would always go, why are you telling them what you're going to do? Yeah. Stop telling them what you're going to do. These are people who want us dead, or we're at war with these people. Don't tell them what you want to. Make them think what you're going to do, but don't tell them. Get them off balance. So I wouldn't take the guy literally, and I would assume there's a method to his madness. Whereas the last guy, we just had madness. There's no method, just the madness part.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a whole report on the State of the Union address tomorrow. All right. He really.
Who's gonna get lippy? Like, what Democratic chick's gonna try to get a name for herself by standing up and yelling something good?
Oh, Jasmine Crockett. I mean, you said standing up. I mean, Adam Schiff's already standing up while he's sitting down because his neck is going higher than a giraffe. So he's yelling.
Yeah.
He's looking over the crowd. And then you're going to have probably...
AOC throw a snowball 2-1.
It's funny how AOC's kind of become like the has-been now. You got even crazier personalities out there. And she's lost her zing. I saw her on, was it PBS or NPR? And they're asking her questions.
She had a baby. Saw dopamine.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
She did. There you go.
Release.
There you go.
Oxytocin.
Did she have a baby?
Wait,
I don't know.
I thought that was it.
It's coming. I know it's coming.
It's a good point.
You're right.
Any minute now.
Listen. Okay, so here's the thing. You need to be a little bit crazy. You have to be a narcissist, you have to be crazy, and you have to also have no sense of yourself to just get in and start screaming about shit all the time, especially shit you don't know about, which is everything for them because they're dumb. So she used to be able to do that. AOC was good at just getting on and yelling about stuff. But sort of like the douchebag dudes you fought in high school, you run into them when they're 50 and they're like mellowed out, like they just lost some testosterone. They've loved and lost a little. They've been divorced. All of a sudden, the dude who was like the aggressive douchebag is sort of mellow now, and time tends to sort of mellow people. She's mellowed a little bit, and I saw her on NPR. But there's two phenomenons you're experiencing. One is AOC has kind of, I would say, lost her fastball, but she never had a fastball. But she lost her screwball, which is her being a fucking screwball and liking to talk about shit all the time. She's also, what you saw on NPR is also, there's a second part of that, which is, since when has NPR ever asked a Democrat a question?
True.
And so she's like, what? What's going on?
Yeah.
And so she's like, wait a minute. I go on NPR so you guys can nod and ask me softball questions. And what are you doing asking a question now? So they get fucked up because they go, look, I'm not going on Hannity and I'm not going on Fox because those guys are going to ask questions. So I'm not going to do that. I will go to the friendly confines of NPR. NPR got the message that you guys need to start actually functioning. You need to actually perform a function at some point. You have to do some news instead of partisan cheerleading. So she goes to NPR and the guy asked her a question about the border or a question about lawfare, and she's like, Bob, we're friends. I thought we had an agreement. She's probably kicking him in the shin going, what the fuck is going on? It said NPR in front of the building. You asked me softball questions and I don't answer them. You can find that, Dawson. It was kind of funny. So she seems like somebody gave her half a Quaalude. And she's just kind of like, yeah, first off, maybe she's just tired of defending insanity. Maybe she got tired of it, but she's lost a little.
Yeah. It's the spices, right? She's 4-year-old paprika. You buy the paprika, right. And you crack it open fresh, and it's smoky and it's bold, and then you leave it in your pantry drawer, and then you want to make chicken paprikash 4 years later, and it tastes like cardboard.
Yeah, she's 4-year-old chicken paprika. Yeah, she looks like paprika, but no zest.
Yeah.
The zest is gone.
She's got the label on the outside. It's a little worn off, and there's clumps on the inside
Clumpy.
too. And the
chicken paprika, you got to make it, man. And so AOC is not pregnant, but we have her on NPR as a funny. I don't know if we have the clips we're talking about, but it's funny. The clip would be, the headline should be, "Guy from NPR does his job." That should be the headline.
And he felt bad about doing it.
Yeah,
you could tell.
I agree with you, babe.
You had a recent dispute, if that's the right word, with Tom Homan, the president's Homeland Security czar, so-called. You held an online forum, a Know Your Rights forum, that he didn't like. What were you doing? What was your goal as you saw it?
My job is to educate and act as a liaison of critical information to my constituents. And I was informing all of my constituents.